US President Joe Biden is on a visit, of course, to Israel. He's left from there and he stated that Hamas should learn to shoot straight. He was asking about talking about the hospital attack in Gaza, for which Israel had held Hamas responsible. Biden stated, and I quote, "I'm not suggesting that Hamas deliberately did it. It's that old thing. It's got to learn to shoot straight." Reacting to this, Israel has stated that for the sake of both Israelis and Palestinians, Hamas should stop firing rockets. Let's in fact listen in to what Biden has to say.
It's highly unlikely. I can understand why in this circumstance they wouldn't leave. I can understand that. But I would not, you notice I don't say things like that unless I have faith in the source from which I've gotten them. Our Defense Department says it's highly unlikely that it was Israelis, but if a different footprint, and they've intercepted some anyway. So that's why, if you notice, I didn't say it first. I wanted to make sure that I knew. And look, and I'm not suggesting that Hamas deliberately did it either. It's that old thing, gotta learn how to shoot.
There, of course, you've heard US President Joe Biden comment on the issue. He has, of course, stated that, I'm not suggesting that Hamas deliberately did it. He's speaking in context of the hospital that was, in fact, hit by a rocket. But he stated that Hamas has got to learn to shoot straight. Meanwhile, joining us this morning to discuss more is Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav, an international affairs expert. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us on NewsX. What do you make of these statements?
Well, I think it's just a satirical statement made by US President. Obviously, this is a condemnable act, and the entire, rocket firing, etc., is also a terrorist act, and that is being, treated as an act of terror. And what the kind of a rampage this Hamas terrorists they carried out against Israel on October 7th, an entire thing, what they are doing at this point of time, even that they have taken a lot of people as a hostage, and also they are still firing rockets. So I think these statements clearly indicates that the kind of treatment Hamas is getting from the international community, I think they deserve to be treated as a terrorist. And he was just making a satirical statement about this kind of rocket firing, etc. But yes, certainly on the serious note, I think the United States of America's power is very much there with Israel in its war against terrorism. And this kind of terrorist organization, whether they are in Gaza or elsewhere, they must be eliminated, and they must not find any place to hide and operate from. So I think that is a very unequivocal support is there of the United States of America to Israel in its war against terrorism. And similarly, all other countries, those who wish to see a victory of nations against terrorism, this menace of terrorism, they're all supporting Israel. And I think, but yes, having said that, let me say that President Biden also gave some suggestions to Israeli establishment that they should not make mistakes. Rather, they should be very careful while moving ahead with their operations. He was obviously referring to the kind of attack the United States of America has faced in 2001 9/11 attacks, and after that, United States of America carried out a lot of military strikes in Afghanistan and against Taliban. So I think he was suggesting also at the same time to Netanyahu government and entire defense establishment of Israel that when they go ahead with these operations, they should utilize all their rational wisdom while moving ahead in its war, and they should not be consumed by the kind of frustration and anger which obviously they are having because of this terrorist attack. So I think this entire and also a civilian population must be protected. And another very important point, which was suggestion which was given by U.S. President, that Hamas does not represent the people of Palestine. And I think people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, they are not represented by Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist entity, and that must be, wiped out. That must be eliminated. But at the same time, the care and caution with regard to the civilian population of Gaza, that is an essential thing to be keep in mind, and I think that should be one of the top priorities. And at this point of time, there should be the top priority to ensure that the civilians are not put in a harm's way anymore. So I think that is very constructive suggestions have come, and obviously United States of America's President Joe Biden, he has dealt with this kind of issues. He has been, chairman of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee for decades. He was vice president, and now he is the president. He has, wisdom, he has vision, and he has dealt with such situations. So I'm sure that the kind of suggestions and advice he has given to the Netanyahu government, I think Netanyahu government will take it seriously and will adhere to the various suggestions and will act accordingly. So I think certainly Israel will have to fight this war against the terrorist entity Hamas, but at the same time, they will have to take care of the civilian population of Gaza because they should not suffer anymore. They are already suffering hard, and kind of videos which are coming in the kind of unacceptable, barbaric kind of attack which has come on this hospital. I think this shows that civilian populations, they are suffering very hard, and that must be prevented. Good thing has happened is that United States of America, in the latest development, they have struck a deal with Egypt, and I think Egypt has agreed to open its borders for refugees and Rafah border, and obviously $100 million of aid also has been announced by the US for the people of Gaza as well as the people of the West Bank. So I think these are the very constructive steps United States of America is taking, and I think such a responsible leadership of the international community is very much required in these hours of crisis. And this narrative should not go out in the world that this is a war between two civilizations. This is not dharma yuddha or war between civilizations. Terrorists, precisely, they want to promote this idea of a clash of civilization. Terrorists certainly want to create a narrative that this is war between Israel and Palestine. But this is not a war between Israel and Palestine. This is a war between Israel and a terrorist entity called Hamas. And that is the fact that must be clear. And dialogue between the various Arab countries in Israel, whenever the situation gets a bit normal, that should continue. The dialogue among civilization is the only and the biggest answer to this idea of a clash of civilization. And this idea of a clash of civilization is a terrorist idea. It's a terrorist mindset that must be also, defeated at the same time when the Israel is going ahead with its military operation against Hamas.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.